Say, you see sometimes you see comics as you're coming up, and I saw comics as I'm coming up. I went to Gettysburg College from 1970, 1974, and in 1971, Dick Gregory was booked to perform at my college. Now, I was super excited. My dad had comedy albums when I was growing up. He had Dick Gregory albums. He had all sorts. And now, I didn't know the history of Dick Gregory that much before, but what I found out later, when I got into stand-up comedy, I started getting into the history of it. Dick Gregory was the first black stand-up comic to perform in front of white audiences. It actually broke a line. In 1960 or 61, the Playboy Club in Chicago, Professor Irwin Corey was booked. Now, Dick Gregory had been practicing. He wanted to be there. Everybody was like the first guy to the moon. Every young black comic back then wanted to be the first stand-up comic, a black comic to work in front of a white audience. And he was preparing. He was walking around his house. He'd have his wife yell the N-word at him randomly to prepare himself for it. And the Playboy Club, Hugh Hefner, they had their eye on Dick Gregory. They were just looking for the opportunity to have it happen. So legend has it that Irwin Corey faked sickness so that Dick Gregory could do it. Whether he did or not, he called in sick that night. Sunday night, Playboy Club, Chicago, 1960-61, the height or the beginning of the civil rights movement, very big time in American history for this. They call up Dick Gregory. Then the manager calls him and says, "Dick, we got a cancellation. I would say, great, come on down and perform for these people." But the crowd, as it is entirely made up of Southern conventioners, the fast food industry, all Southerners, all white Southerners. Dick says, "I'll be there." He shows up, perform, and kills doing his material. He kills. And that sprung his career. People talked about it. He got more bookings. Jack Parr show heard about this black comedian performing in front of a white audience. They called him up to come do the Jack Parr show. Dick Gregory famously said, "I'll do the show on one condition. You let me sit down and talk on the couch. I notice you have lots of black entertainers on, singers, and you always have them come sing, but you don't let them sit down like the white people do and interview them. If I'm going to do stand-up comedy, you have to interview me." And they called him back and said, "We'll do it." So he was the first black comedian to do that way too. So he was a very famous guy, but I only knew him from the albums that my dad had, and of course, I was excited for Dick Gregory to come to Gettysburg College, and I told all my friends, "You gotta see this guy, he's a stand-up comic," because we're all thinking, that kind of George Carlin. We're thinking, I got them all excited, my buddies. Let's go see him. We got High as a Kite. We got Pot, which is hard to get back in 1971 in Gettysburg. I know it's hard to believe in this day and age, but we were really, really ready. We sat there, we're High as a Kite. Dick Gregory came out. He spoke for an hour and a half on diet. He had quit drinking and quit smoking and quit eating meat, and he spoke about the benefits of a fruitarian diet. And politics. There was a lot of politics and a lot of fruit and nut diet. And there were like about 4 or 5 18-year-old guys looking at me going, "What the fuck?" And we're sitting right up front. We can't leave. I'm just going, And I always wanted to meet him and go, "You owe me a comedy show." He doesn't owe me anything. One of the greatest ever. God bless you, Dick Gregory.